Everybody, can you hear us? We're about to start a podcast.
Podcasting.
The excitement of people talking.
Welcome, everyone, to the Autopian Podcast, episode 23 of our boutique podcast.
And this is our first live. This is the first live podcast in front of a live studio audience.
Because we're at the LA Auto Show.
Live audience.
We're at the Galpin Hall of Customs at the LA Auto Show.
The best hall, always, traditionally, the most fun hall.
Are you guys enjoying the LA Auto Show, by the way? Everything good?
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. We're really excited to have you.
We are. This is a big treat.
Podcast here.
And I know a lot of you traveled pretty far, sometimes on an auto manufacturer's dime, but some of you on your own.
Thousands of miles.
And we appreciate
Hundreds
it.
of thousands of miles.
This is very exciting for us because this is our first real presence at the auto show as the Autopian.
This is super cool.
Sort of,
We did a tease last year.
Yeah.
We just had these
Nobody knows
weird
this.
cars.
Does anyone
outside.
remember this?
Did anyone notice? We did all this work so nobody could notice.
Because, last year at the auto show, before we even launched the site, we had, how many? We had 3 cars? 5 cars?
5 cars.
We had 5 cars, and we had signs in that hallway, but nobody knew who the hell we were.
Because nobody could know.
Right, because we were afraid
right.
of getting in trouble at Jalopnik.
But we had some great cars out here because we had the Tiger Messerschmitt, which was badass.
We had the Signet, the Aston Martin Signet.
Which was really cool.
Yeah. And I don't remember what else.
And here we are now, and we got some fun cars.
We do. Did I tell you I came up with a name for a group of microcars? Because you know how like a bunch of crows or ravens is a murder, or a bunch of lions is a pride, or a bunch of Autopians is a dipshit. So I was thinking a grin. For a group of microcars. I was thinking like something happy but not too saccharine, like a smile or charm felt too saccharine, but a grin felt right.
A grin of microcars.
A grin of microcars.
Let's call Webster.
Yeah, you should just briefly point out what we have here on the floor.
We have some amazing stuff on the floor. Do we want to point it out now? I thought we were going to do that. All right, fuck it. All right.
This is good stuff.
Well, where are we?
Oh, we're at the LA Auto Show. We mention that.
You know what? Actually,
we're at the Galpin Hall.
I have notes here from our producer because apparently I'm a dipshit and I need to. Okay, so all right, where are we? Okay, we got that. LA. Okay, we're gonna be here in the Galpin Hall Customs from now, Thursday the 17th, until next weekend. So Thanksgiving time frame.
Wow. During the public days, is that what I'm hearing, David?
That's exactly
the
right.
general public can come here and meet Autopian writers.
This is super cool.
It is.
Yeah. And by the way, what a great auto show. You know, people are talking about the demise of auto shows, and some places it's been pretty tough, and you see some manufacturers that didn't show up, which to me is really sad. But what a great show I think this is. And the manufacturers that showed up, some came all the way, some kind of half-assed it a little bit, but I think overall it's a great show. And people should be coming to auto shows. It's a great way
An auto show, for me growing up, was a big deal.
Absolutely.
I live in a small city in Kansas, and the Kansas City Auto Show, it was the time of year. I always looked forward to it. It was the time when you could actually sit in a car.
Which auto show were you going to?
The Kansas City Auto Show.
In
Bartle Hall. You haven't heard of this?
Oh, Bartle Hall, of course.
World-renowned Kansas City Auto Show.
Of course.
And you could sit in the cars that you've been reading about on, Motor Trend and Road and Trek, to actually sit in the cars and experience, I'm so excited.
I know this sounds right, but I was in college and they let me sit in Aston Martin. Even I thought that was wow, they let me sit. That's pretty cool. And now we've got Aston Martins here. I feel like, wow, come full circle.
I remember I was at the LA show when the new Beetle came out, and I was extremely excited. And do you remember the big machine they had that would take recycled taillight plastic and cast it into a little Beetle that you could keep? I still have it somewhere. It was fantastic. VW brought that machine.
On brand for you, by the way.
It's completely on brand.
Are you sure they didn't mold it?
Mold it, fine. It was molded, not cast.
We always get this wrong, Jason.
So David claims that you can't cast plastic, but I believe you
not that you can't. It's just, anyway,
they had a machine, and it made little Beetles, and it was an amazing thing, and I still remember it fondly. It was incredible.
And actually, there's some good stuff here on the floor. off-road courses from multiple manufacturers.
Well, that's what's wild. You walk in now, and it's like, who brought the biggest ramp, you know?
Because
there were big ramps.
You got the Ram ramp right when you walk in your face.
Yeah.
You go a little farther, you got the Bronco ramp, and then Jeep's got their ramp. So, but it's cool because I think they're letting people actually drive on that thing.
Yeah.
Is that possible?
There was an EV track for Hyundai had something.
These things are pretty high in the air.
You sign a waiver probably.
Oh, many a waiver.
Yeah.
Oh, the lawyers are all over that.
Oh, no doubt.
Also,
that's cool that you could do that.
I think this may be the best VinFast booth that we've had in the past decade.
I think if this were your first auto show,
Yeah.
you would think VinFast was the biggest car company in the world.
You're thinking, these guys are huge. Everybody drives a VinFast.
Exactly.
My grandma had a 75 VinFast. She loved that thing.
Well, I'll tell you, I was just, in Vietnam, and if you're in Vietnam, that's true, actually.
Yeah,
and it's not just VinFast, it's Vin Group, and they got everything from your Vin house to your Vin apartment to your Vin hospital, your Vin university, and...
the
go
Vin
to your
crematorium you were talking about.
Huh?
And the Vin crematorium at
the
end of
Vin
life.
crematorium's next, I think. But and then of course the Vin cars.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And VinFast, I should say. I got to drive one.
What'd you think of it?
Overall, it actually drove all right. I was surprised it didn't have a little bit more power, or it wasn't as fast as I would have thought. But it was a prototype vehicle, so I got to give them a little, room for that.
Play,
and
sure.
they're still perfecting things. But I'll tell you, they got a factory ready to build. It looks like several 100,000 vehicles, and hasn't even started. So we'll see how they do.
Yeah, I'm very curious about that.
I just have to say briefly.
Yeah.
When an automaker lets a journalist drive something and they lean on, this is a pre-production car, it's like, it's the media's driving it. These have to be the good ones,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They could wait.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing because you can't get them off the hook entirely. It's a pre-production.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they brought us there to show us this car.
Right.
Too,
That's the whole point, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
But there's
All right.
What else do you guys like at the show here? There's some cool cars.
Well, first we still haven't. How have we not mentioned the wheelbarrow?
Oh, we'll mention it. Yeah, this is a dream realized. The wheelbarrow full of shrimp.
Yes.
This was something that scientists. We actually spoke with scientists, and they said it's not possible. They said there's no way you can get a wheelbarrow full of shrimp and have it be stable. And then Bo's team of engineers figured it out.
It's true.
We just left it out in the sun for a while, and
we did a CAD. We mocked that up in CAD.
Yeah.
We got CFD
Simulations all failed tragically.
It's true.
Yeah. This is where everybody should probably keep their distance. No, but this has been sitting out in the parking lot a while, so it's safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's
kind of
aged.
that way.
Yeah. It's parking lot aged. There's a few birds in there. This is good. Is everyone enjoying the shrimp? Let's hear it for the shrimp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in front of a live audience, which is great, but that
It
doesn't mean we're not going to really lean hard on that laugh track. Get that right. There
you go. Thank you.
We actually got it. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great.
What else have you guys enjoyed at the show?
The Ioniq 6 Hyundai, I think, is a great looking car. I think it's interesting. It doesn't look like everything else out there. Weirdly big trunk lid.
That is an unusual slope back there.
It's very more curved. It feels Porsche. Like the front and rear feel very Porsche-like, or that first Infiniti with the rounded butt. You remember?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
It reminds me of
and
that.
They had to add that little spoiler at the end.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that car. It reminds me a little bit of that.
Why did they add that little spoiler? So
I think they started to lift. Remember the TT? They had to say the Audi TT. You remember that?
Yeah,
they had to do that. They had to add the little spoiler.
But okay, the car, I didn't get really close to it, but the other Hyundai, what's it called there?
N74.
Envision 74.
Envision 74.
That looked cool,
unbelievable.
And so I was at the presser today, and they I heard rumors about this. But apparently there's a direct line because it was originally a 1974 show car, the Pony Coupe that they had there, and it was a Giugiaro design. I can never pronounce the name. It was his design, and they said that they have documentation that traces it directly to the DeLorean DMC-12 design. That's the source that was started from that ended up at squished and stretched a little bit and through some going doors.
You see it
You absolutely do.
At first glance, that's the first thing that I thought of.
Yeah,
and even somebody I was with said the same thing. But it's DeLorean-esque.
It is. It's a very cool concept. I mean, they did I think a bang up job. One of my favorite concepts I've seen in a long time. Did you look at it, David?
Yeah, that concept. I mean, even in terms of what people are. The readership, when you write about that car, it's
people loved it.
There's something about that.
Yeah.
Really, really grabs people. Yeah, it's
I don't know. It's a good mix of like a retro-ish design and extremely modern. Now they honestly, I think Hyundai Kia is killing it design-wise lately.
No doubt. You know what else? You know what else showed up here? An off-road Porsche 911.
This I love.
We have some questions about this, though.
I know you guys have some questions. I'm sure they have answers.
Cool.
They usually think things through pretty well, I've noticed at Porsche.
We cornered a Porsche rep and asked a couple questions. So, David, explain
We didn't
the
corner
issue.
anyone, first off.
We held him down.
Well,
we held his testicles in our
Pushed him
hands.
around a little bit.
No, we didn't.
Damn it, Jesus.
What?
Yeah, no, well, okay, so this is an off-road vehicle. So you'd expect there to be some, like, skid plates underneath, a nylon oil pan.
You gotta live something to the aftermarket, you know?
Oh, that's
the thing is, it looks like there's a skid plate. There's like a metal piece that curves a little bit. You think, oh, that must continue under, but it doesn't. It's just, there's a literal plastic oil tray under there. And then in the front, there's these, it looks like a little mustache. These two little air exhaust vents on the hood because it's the super light hood from the GT3. And then there's a intake underneath it in the front, and I shoved my hand up in there. And
As one does.
See my fingers through the little mustache outtakes, and there's nothing there. There's no cooler.
By the way, I just want to point out, you guys are being real auto journalists right now.
Yeah.
Because the fact that a major sports car manufacturer that is taking, they had an perfectly good off-road platform, but they took their sports car platform and turned it into an off-roader.
You're right about
and they completely ignored that entire, like, amazingly cool fact.
No, we're going to get there.
Brushed by that whole thing.
It is cool.
Straight to the nitpicking. Please
The
continue.
story was largely positive on it.
No, it's just very cool.
The first thing I looked at, of course, is the cooling openings. And
of course you did.
There's a big cooling opening. Automakers, generally.
You meant that seriously, by the way. You didn't say that as a joke. That's the first thing you looked at.
I don't think he was kidding.
No, he wasn't.
No, automakers generally, if you can block off some grill, you do it for aero. And I noticed there's an opening, but it doesn't actually go to any heat exchangers. And I'm like, that seems like why would you do that? It's not. It has to do with using a GT3. I'm not still entirely sure why, but. Anyway, it's just...
We have questions.
It is cool, though. I mean, no question about that.
Yeah, it is.
But we're also a little puzzled.
Okay.
That makes it better, though. A little mystery in the
you
car.
don't want it to be, predicted. Like,
and by the way, you should. I was just pointing out that, first of all, it's freaking amazing that they're doing this. And I think it's going to be, it's going to be huge. And there's only 2,500 units.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be tough to get one, but it's not cheap either. So, that's the other
No?
thing. Oh,
guy at the Porsche stand said it was $27,500. Is that not
accurate?
accurate?
Was, just add a zero.
Oh, okay.
We had a few other debuts here. Just before the auto show, and extremely excited. I wasn't expecting it to be this exciting, but the Toyota Prius.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of press.
Yeah, it's because it looked awful before, and now it looks good. And that dramatic shift. Maybe it was the plan.
It was like, hey, if we...
This is a slow burn, like a long con. Like they were building us with... Every year, the Prius was getting worse and worse and more Baroque and crazy in the front with flaps
and they had this
nostrils.
design just sitting there for a while.
Yeah.
They were just like, oh, you just wait until 2022. It's coming.
I saw that thing in Plano, Texas a bunch of months ago, and I wasn't allowed to talk about it. It was when they showed us the Crown and the new Prius, and it looked fantastic, but it was maddening because I couldn't say anything.
It looked
Because really... They did not look good for a long time. And this thing genuinely is a good-looking car.
Yeah. We have a design breakdown on our website, theautopian.com.
Oh, yeah, that's a good site.
Adrian
Good
Clark,
plug, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. As we were talking about, the G.G. Allen of automotive journalism.
Absolutely, yeah.
I still don't know what that means.
No, that's the Autopian is that's our motto now, David. Don't Google it. But we want to be the G.G. Allen of automotive journalism. Don't Google it.
I never get any of the references.
Please don't take us serious on that.
Yeah, no,
he's an absolutely horrible person, but somewhat entertaining.
Yeah, he's definitely entertaining. Yeah, this is good.
All right, how much more do we want to talk about the Prius? Because I think we could probably talk about the Prius until the end of time.
I think it looks a ton better. I'm not sure what else there's. I hope it beeps less. The last one beeped way too fucking much. Have you been in the Prius Prime? It will beep at you non-stop about everything. Everything it beeps.
You know what I feel bad about?
I hate nanny cars.
Oh, it's like having a smoke alarm going off in your
that's the
kitchen.
worst.
No, it beeps at you for things you didn't even know you could get beeped at. Like you look at the rearview mirror wrong, and I think it beeps at you, or it makes no sense.
Torch, I have to say, in the early days of like my love of cars, I kind of talk shit on the Prius, and I now
you feel a little guilty.
I do feel kind of guilty about it
It's healthy.
the Prius was considered like the anti-car for the longest time.
It
and
was.
honestly, but I don't feel that way anymore. Even I look at a second-gen Prius, and you know what? It's different. You know, you can look at the screen and see where all the, you know, it's using battery power. Versus, that's at least different. It's cool. It's aerodynamically optimized. It's way cooler than like a.
I think having
Camry.
a first-gen Prius would
that's
be
good.
kind of fun.
It did have a lot of good things about it. But as an enthusiast car, no, it was not that. It wasn't meant to be that.
Well, it was
You
a
could appreciate it
specific
for-
kind of enthusiast.
Well,
Yeah, but
you
think
were
about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
absolutely.
MPG
It
enthusiast.
helped
Just
really bring the sort of the eco-modder culture.
Yeah, they're enthusiasts too.
Yeah,
they're just
absolutely.
I agree.
just
I
doing
have to
something
take that.
different.
Yeah.
I think we got that wrong. I think we gave the
Gave
Prius
too
too
much
much shit.
All right,
But
it's fair.
I'm still standing by the shit.
Yeah, although and the recent one still beeps way too fucking much. The new one looks great though. We'll leave it at that.
All right, there was also
and it does look. I'll give him that. It looks good.
The new one
They
looks
did a
good,
nice
yeah.
job.
there was also a new Impreza launch. I don't really have a whole lot to say.
I have no idea.
People seem to care.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, okay, it's a big
sure.
deal. The Impreza, sure. I didn't pay
It's a
attention.
hatchback. It's got a CVT, so let's move on.
Flat 4.
Let's move on.
Literally the worst we've ever talked about a car.
All right.
The least amount of information.
All
It's
right.
a car as a wheel.
What?
Roll around wheels, the see-through glass, the sit-down seats.
Roll around wheels. I like see-through glass.
But anyway, yeah, no, we there were a bunch of other debuts, but you know, we kind of covered the big ones. But now we haven't mentioned yet. We have an excellent guest who's going to be joining us.
We do.
All right.
We do.
I know.
Zack Klapman's going to be joining us
Yeah.
here on the
All
podcast.
right, Zach.
We're going to be, I guess, bringing him up
Fresh
to
out of
time
prison,
now.
I'm told, right? Is that true?
Yeah, I don't
We'll
know.
ask him.
Parole.
The nicest guy in car media.
He is.
I'm fairly
Very-
sure, but
very
I
nice man.
doesn't mean he's not straight out of prison.
Made
We
some-
don't
We
know.
all made mistakes.
Fair enough.
Did Zach actually show up too?
Yeah, I haven't seen him actually.
Phoning
I'll
it.
let you mention it.
We probably should have checked to see if he's actually
He's
here.
around here.
Oh, he is
There he
here.
is. Yeah, let's have him come up.
Hell yeah.
Right? Yeah. Come on up, Zach. Yeah,
Oh.
I know. I
Well,
I didn't know where he was going with this
Zach,
either.
good to see you, pal. Great.
I want to touch
So-
your suit.
Well, thank you.
It's
So,
velvet.
so first of all, being that you're our guest here, I'd like to offer you this shrimp.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
And this has been sitting out for a while. See how it's
Look
Look at
looking.
the flies.
That's the whole thing.
How
Just one.
long has that
We all
plate
got to
been?
share.
Not
so
that
that's
Just one. Are we each?
It's a little
Room
dry.
temp. It's room temp.
Yeah,
Tepid.
that's okay.
I'm definitely not eating that.
He's not doing it. He
You're
can't
not
do it.
brave.
I don't
You're not going to
believe
eat our shrimp, huh?
Extra
Look at that plate
tepid.
been on this
You-
table.
I'll show you. It's good. I'm gonna show you.
There you go.
That's
Well,
not-
you can eat it now, but who knows
Right.
what the
One.
situation
Call me,
is in 6
call me
hours.
at midnight and let me know how the bathroom is.
I mean, I'm willing to
It's
risk
good.
it. Don't we? Sure, let's go.
Rubbery. You like it rubbery?
All right, solidarity.
Yeah, it's good.
Sorry, Sarah. This is not.
I love how we're all going to
this
be
is
eating
not
and
cold.
talking at the same
This
time.
is not cold.
It's
Well,
tepid.
that's why I put it out there
Tepid.
a
Right.
while ago, so it could get nice and room
we
temperature.
had
Thank
to
you.
bring up
You
the
don't want-
maximum tepidness.
Otherwise, it reduces your core body temperature if it's too cold when you eat it, right?
Yeah, no, you can get hurt eating too cold
No more
shrimp.
sauce. Double
This
dipping.
is not a good idea.
No, it's not.
No, it's fine.
But anything for television, right?
So you'll know where you were.
Yeah, it's good.
we can all
I
go
got
to
sick on
Cedars
Jack
Hospital together.
Nash's shrimp one time. Did I tell you this?
No, what happened?
I was at in Washington D.C. He had this big fancy party.
Yeah.
CEO of Ford, and we ate the shrimp, and all of us that ate the shrimp got violently ill. So
Whoa.
that is what I think about when I see a wheelbarrow full of shrimp.
It is so bold. Like, I really appreciate this joke so much, as we all do. Anybody in
What
the space,
joke?
like, it
It's
is
right
great.
there.
Yeah,
but
it exists.
it's so bold. I mean, I know you guys were joking about the engineering earlier, but a lot of us were like, how much ice did they use? What's the melting rate of this? This is very important. These questions need to be answered. NASA is
I
studying
can't
this
answer
right
these
now.
things.
Yeah, no, it gets replenished periodically. Yeah, please go help yourself, sir. Dig in. No, hey.
There's still
Take
some
the,
left.
Take the shrimp. Put it in your mouth. I want to see it happen. Dunk it. All right, let's enjoy that.
All right.
Thank you. Good work, buddy.
Good job.
Oh, that was some good shrimp dunking. Did you see the form on that dunk?
No, it was man's a pro.
Picky out. I give him a 9 for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt,
Yeah.
no doubt.
Man's a pro.
So Zach, you just came here for us, huh? You weren't running around the auto show.
I was not. I had a different job I was doing earlier today. I wanted to come to the show to see stuff, but I had an obligation. But yeah, I came down here for you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Which
We
I
know you from the
appreciate.
Smoking Tire podcast. We have a lot more we want to know about you.
Okay. What do
so-
you know? Should I lay on a couch while we do this?
Maybe.
Maybe.
That'd be a good idea.
What are we going to ask Zach? What was your first car, Zach? That's what I like to ask people. The first
fir-
car you actually owned.
First car I actually owned was a 65 Pontiac Le Mans.
That's a pretty
That's
good
way
first
too good
car.
of a first car.
It was, it was good at noise. It made a lot of noise.
Okay.
Didn't stop or turn very well, but I did not care because I was 17. But I learned how to work on old cars, which is not really applicable in my current job. But I learned how to change a lot of exhaust gaskets because those go bad a lot when you buy them for pennies and they're made of cardboard. Learned how to change a lot of intake manifolds, carburetors, stuff like that. Yeah, but when it came to brakes and shocks, I was like, hey, they're fine.
Yeah,
it
exactly.
stops.
Yeah.
The first night I had it, I took it up to this spot in Santa Cruz where we go drag racing. It's like the only straight part of the highway in Santa Cruz. Excuse me. And I'm with my brother, and they still had the 2-barrel carburetor on it that it came with stock. So I just hit it, go up till 4,000 RPM, hits like 100 miles an hour. I'm like, all right, this is fun. Let off the gas. It does not slow down. Throttle sticks. We were just doing 100 nighttime, 65 Pontiac, no cell phone. This was pre-cell phone. And luckily, my dad had told me long ago, if that happens, you can just put it in neutral, turn the car off.
Yeah.
So I put it in neutral, turn the car off, but then it almost got scarier because it's suddenly silent, and we're just like,
And this is at night too, right?
Nighttime.
So do lights go off?
Power steering's gone.
The light stayed on. It doesn't have power steering.
Okay.
So
Doesn't matter at
it's
high
very
speeds
heavy
anyway.
when you're trying to park it, but when you're moving, it's too light. And then we just coast to a stop, turn it back on, and everything was fine. But I went home and I ordered an Edelbrock carburetor that night. That was one of the scarier things
That is a
happened
nightmare.
in that car.
Like,
Yeah.
that is probably top 3 like automotive nightmares. Like behind like a diesel runaway and like water, like car in water at all.
Car in water.
Like
What
water
about steering
coming
wheel
into the
coming
car
out in your
somewhere.
hand? That's also up there.
Oh, the steering wheel. Yeah. Unless you have a vice grip like handy, that's a bad situation.
It's over. Yeah.
My steering wheel also had 2 out of 3 spokes broken on that car, but I replaced it.
all you
with
need
a
is the
little
one.
green thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
like
it
the
made
old
noise, so I didn't care.
Real
It's
flexy.
so stupid.
I had a gear shift snap off in my hand once. Like in high school I had a 71 Beetle and I was driving really stupid on a unpaved gravel road and it oversteered and I hit a tree on right behind the front passenger fender.
Whoa.
And I went to grab the gear shift, get out of gear, and the gear shift broke off in my hand. And then we flipped in the air. We actually were aloft for 84 feet before the car landed again.
84 feet?
Which I
Who
think
measured
the
it?
Wright brothers first. It's where the skid marks quit. The cops did.
okay.
The skid marks quit and where the car landed. Luckily, we landed back on the wheels, luckily. But the Wright brothers' first
you do a
flight,
flip
I'm not
in between?
100% sure was
How'd you do 84 feet?
That's what they said, 84 feet.
No, but how?
Well,
car
because I
can't go
think when we
fast enough to
hit,
go that far.
it was like a springy saplingish tree.
It catapulted you in
and
the air.
Yeah, because it was in front of a
branches
golf course,
sprang up.
and people who saw it said the car tumbled on the end-over-end axis.
Oh,
and
you
then-
did?
That's what they said.
Hey, I rolled a car end over end too.
Did you really? Which
Yeah.
car?
It was in a Mustang. It was very frightening, actually.
No, I couldn't tell what the hell was happening. I mean, you
Right?
have the windshield, you're like blue, green, green, blue, blue, green, and then you're just deafening boom. Oh, and in between the tire and the wheel was stuck. Like when it hit,
Oh,
it
yeah.
gapped and grabbed grass. And
Right
then
in the bead there.
in
Yeah.
So
the
was it the
bead,
same
yeah.
thing? Like when you were going end over end, did you have any idea what was going on?
No fucking clue.
Because
I couldn't
I
tell
thought this
what-
car was spinning this way.
I could not tell.
And then, because I was on the freeway and I hit so
Oh,
hard
shit.
that it flipped, and there was actually like a police car like a quarter of a mile back, and they said I knew it was bad like when I just saw the under end of the car,
whoa.
and it went end over end and then rolled down the freeway.
What
And-
year Mustang?
I don't know. This was like in the early '90s. Damn. And my arm went out the window. Luckily, I
Oh,
still have
God.
it. It was gnarly.
Terry.
Well,
The
between the
airbags-
two of these, I think
Yeah.
the Beetle has a better shape for rolling end over
Oh,
end.
yeah.
Yeah,
I was
no,
gonna
it
say,
is-
it's designed to
How
roll.
are you
Yeah.
still here? With,
Well,
I mean, there's no safety equipment.
It was on a median, a grassy median, and we landed on the wheels. I think I just got lucky. I think if we landed any other way, I would have been in bad shape. Engine was still good. I pulled the engine and put it in the Beetle I have now. Like it was, yeah, it was. And I had my
like that
friend
you
of mine in the
jumped-
back. So we were 3 of us in the car. Me and my friend Charles and my friend Jeremy. He didn't have a seatbelt on, and I remember he was bouncing all around the back like he was in a dryer. It was it was a mess.
And,
Can't
and
believe
was he
you're
all
alive.
right?
Yeah, he was fine.
Oh, he
I
must
mean,
have been drunk then.
No, we weren't even drunk. We were just
Really?
stupid.
So
Yeah.
for 84 feet.
84
launching
feet
a
is what-
Teenage
Volkswagen.
years? Were you a teenager at the time?
Oh, yeah, it was like
Oh, you're
17 or
invincible. You're made
something.
out of rubber at that
Yeah,
point.
totally.
It's fine.
Very malleable, heal really
It's like
quickly.
the same as being
Exactly.
drunk, basically.
It basically is. Yeah, youth and alcohol.
You ever had anything like that happen? Hopefully not.
Car crash stuff. Kind of, but
I've got so many cars.
It worked out. Well, I lived in Colorado for a year during college, and it snowed. And when it would snow, I would just go drive for hours and hours because sliding around is like my favorite thing in the world. So it had a huge snowstorm that closed the whole town for like 3 days. I mean, it was like, don't go to school, don't go home. It has to be severe in Colorado because everyone there has a Subaru and a dog that can pull the car if they need it. You have everything. So they finally lifted the ban on driving, and the girl I was seeing at the time really wanted to go get some stuff from her apartment. And so we're driving on the highway, and there's just suddenly, the highway's clear, and then all of a sudden we hit a patch of slow, like thick snow, and it just dragged the right side of the car, and I just started spinning. And I was definitely going faster than I should have been, but I had a Subaru, and I was like, I got this. I have a flat brim hat and a Subaru. I have this. And I didn't have it, and I spun full 360 and just slid into what would have been a guardrail, but it was so packed with snow, the car just slid into it like a hedge and stopped.
Oh.
Like the full right side of the car, all the way to the middle of the car was snow. And a friend had to come drag me out. Like I just slid in and just, and we were fine.
You left a supersized like
100%.
Right
I left a Subaru
Like
outline. You could have cast the body of the Subaru.
Wow.
And my friend towed me out, and as we left, another car did the exact same thing right in front of us, but it went the other way and smashed the median. And
shit.
It just confettied the whole car. So we got really lucky that we went the other direction.
Wow.
But I think that was my worst car accident.
All right, David, your turn.
Oh, let's see if I crashed a car. You know what?
Crashed a car. Yeah.
You know what? I don't think.
Have you not crashed a car?
Well, okay,
How
I
can
did.
that be?
Well, I've only gotten into like little fender benders, but like my cars are so shitty that it totaled it. But it was just. You
can't afford to get in an accident because you could die at anything.
You're gonna get tetanus.
True. Yeah, you get
like
tetanus.
I have totaled one of my first car. I totaled, but it was like a fender bender. It was literally the front. Like once
That
the
makes
front,
so much sense.
Once the front bumper creased in, like at all, the insurance person was like, "Yeah, right.
It's more than $12.
Yeah,
We're not.
that's exactly right.
But I mean, you total your cars when a headlight burns out.
Or I run out of gas. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Every car you drive that I've seen you work on looks like you're driving the Game of Thrones chair. It's just made of swords and knives, and God forbid you get hit by anyone. It's just it's coming through your face.
But that's all going to change because I bought a car from California. Smartest move I ever made. Look at that Nash over there. Nash Metropolitan.
Really
California car.
Achingly beautiful.
It's
What year is that?
condition, basically. 59.
59.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Was given to me for free. Someone emailed me and said, "Do you want a Nash Metropolitan?" What was I going to say to that?
Did it run
I love how
when
they were
you-
going to actually junk it. Like we're just throwing this away. Would you like it? That's
The owner was like he was loath to junk it, which is why he was giving it away because he loved this thing
I'm
and just
so
got
glad
too
he did.
old.
So am I.
And I'm so glad you're saving it. What a wonderful thing. But let's talk about your automotive situation because supposedly you're moving out here. Is this correct? Which we're all excited about, right?
Woo! Yeah.
I have been saying that for a very
Audience
long time.
just went nuts, by the way. Just a roar.
Yeah, there
thousands
really
of
was a
people
roar
were
for
here.
the audience.
We had
Mike
to
didn't
turn
pick it
down the
up.
volume because people were losing their shit so severely. The mayor came out here and was in tears of joy.
Gave me the key to the city. He's like, "Welcome."
Yeah.
Mayor Bass now.
Oh,
Pretty close.
Yeah, no. The Nash is going to be my daily driver. So
So
I
what about
needed
these
something
other
efficient.
automobiles that you have? Have you figured out what you're going to do yet? 'Cause
How many
You did the
cars
whole
do you own?
survey. By the way, I participated in that survey.
participate in the survey?
Absolutely.
Okay, so some background.
Okay,
I did a little survey on our site, asking readers which cars I should keep, which ones I should sell. By the way, they basically told me to sell every damn car, which is kind of ridiculous.
Probably
I'm
tells you
curious.
something.
To some degree, it's a little surprising.
I want to know what you voted for. So I have 8 cars.
Yeah.
I think 8 cars. What did you say I should keep? What should I get
you
rid
should.
of?
Everyone,
Okay,
I
I'll
think
list
most
them
people
first.
agree you should keep the Mustang.
Keep the Mustang. Yeah.
Absolutely. See, I listened to what you said because, like, on the Jeep Truckster thing, like you said, I love this thing with all my heart. And if you love something with all your heart, then maybe you should try to find a way to keep it.
I
That's the
agree.
J10, right?
That's the BMW owner motto. That's why we keep them.
Yeah.
I have a question. So it's at 85. My biggest concern about that is the whole California emissions thing. Is that like an actual big?
Oh, that's a
It-
thing. That's
it-
why I
it-
said
it's definitely a
one
thing.
of the choices was leave it in Detroit. That's what I said. Just
that's what
leave-
you said. Okay.
Well, because I don't know what you're going to do with it. At the same time, I don't know how replaceable it is. So if it's really not replaceable in your heart, Then,
It's not.
Yeah,
How ethically
and,
wrong
and
is
if
it?
you got a sucker friend that you could park it in their backyard or
Hey,
something.
Jason, you got to ruin your yard.
I mean, you just need to like make an LLC in Montana and then have that car registered there because emissions is a very real thing in California. It's getting more and more challenging.
Oh,
to
and
try and
nobody
get around.
notices those Montana plates. Oh, yeah.
I mean, they get noticed, but if it's parked in someone's yard, then you'll be all right.
So what do you have, Zach? Like, what's your automotive fleet consist of?
I have Uno Automobile. I just have
What?
the E46 M3.
That's it?
2002. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Huh. All right.
Because it
And
takes.
therefore, he has disposable income.
Yeah. No, that's why you can't have. You can either own one BMW or a fleet of cars.
That's right. Yeah,
Because you
exactly.
spend all your money trying to repair the BMW. Yeah, unfortunately.
Let's be honest. Like one part on that, like a major part on that, is worth all 8 of my cars. Easily.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not even a major part, David.
So
Just
are
a
you
couple hours of labor.
So are you leaning towards the keeping and the selling? What are you doing?
All the cars. I'm going to keep the Mustang. I'm going to keep the J10. I'm going to keep. I'm going to keep
Where?
a lot of cars.
So you really can't get rid of them,
Golden
can you?
Eagle is
I
gonna
was
be your
wondering
EV
if
project, right?
You know, because inventory is so low these days. Bro.
Oh, it's filling up.
I
I
was-
mentioned
is
this. We're getting inventory back.
Are
Gonna have
you?
a big sale? Oh yeah, the cars are they're flowing in.
The chip shortage doesn't affect him because most of the cars don't have
I
chips.
just noticed we don't have any room in our lots.
Just filled up. We're at capacity. Sorry.
How many spots do you have?
Well, you have a lot of.
I'll bring
cars.
4 cars.
4?
That's reasonable, right? I'll have
I
5
think
in
that's
total.
fairly reasonable.
5 in total, and I won't go above 5 ever again.
Except for the 6 car.
Yeah, you will.
And then that's it. Plus
Like a
it's
drug
8.
addict. So,
Yeah, it is.
You'll
Yeah.
go above 5 the second you move here because you're going to realize there's a lot of rust-free cars, especially at any of the pick and pulls. You're just going to go in there and be like, can I just take the whole car for
Dude,
$12?
that's probably true.
Yeah.
The pick
You'll
and pull
fix it
cars.
at
Oh,
the
you
pick and pull.
got to leave yourself some room here, dude. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
You're
got to
right.
come here with 3.
Yeah.
So,
I-
okay.
I think 2 or 3.
2 or 3?
So Mustang, J10.
And there was one other one I think I voted to leave in Detroit, and the rest I said
My
so.
very first car.
Yeah, if you still have your, I mean, most people, that's what they regret selling is their first car for emotional reasons.
True.
And look, what are you gonna get for it? $100?
Nothing.
So you gotta, Jason, you got some.
I
money.
have a near first car. Like the Beetle I've had since I was 18, but it's not my first.
Because your
Beetle.
first
That
car
kinda
was
counts.
wrecked, flipped upside down.
Yeah.
And it's,
Basically
what does it have the engine out of the first car?
Yeah, well, yeah, that engine came
how's that-
from
how's
it.
that
Yeah,
engine doing,
Because
Jason?
it has its.
it's a little seized. A little seized, but we'll get it running again, right?
Wait,
A
what was
little
your
seized.
first car
Little
ever?
seized.
It was a '92 Jeep Cherokee.
Okay.
225,000 miles, $1,400. Bought it in college.
Still works probably. It's still out there.
It still
Or we
could
drink,
work. It could
or we're
work.
drinking
It's not
beer
that
out of it
far
now.
In theory, it
Okay.
can work.
Wait,
But
and you still have it. Yeah.
Radiator and rear axle, and it's
I
ready
think
to
you
rock.
could justify keeping that.
And then rust repair.
Just needs a rear axle and then, put the other wheels on it. Right now it's a bipod, sure. And then it's fine.
Right.
Right
Pretty
now,
much.
right now it's front wheel drive.
It's perfect.
All
So
right.
that's 3. I think that works.
Yeah, you can make that work. And then the Metropolitan. So you'll have a fleet of 4 cars.
See, that's just a smart car to have. 'Cause it's fuel efficient. It's small. I'm moving to the city, man.
Yeah,
This is
no,
a
you're
perfect city car.
The first one of these I ever saw was at a hot rod show, and it was a Pro Street Nash Metropolitan that was tubbed and had like a 454, the blower sticking out of it, and it was awesome. But it looked like a death trap because the wheelbase is what, 2 feet?
Yeah, and the track is even narrower. Like, you see how close those wheels are
So
inside.
dangerous. Yeah.
It's like a bicycle, basically. You have to
So
balance
so
it.
walk us through. So you started with this 65 death trap that tried
Yes.
to kill you. What happened to it, and then what came next? And how does that sort of how does that like fold into your career? How does that all come together?
Well, I was the only car shows I went to when I was younger were hot rod shows, which I think is why I was into hot rods. And then I had that Pontiac, and I was going to college in Colorado, and I was like, maybe I can find snow tires for this thing. Like, I really like this car, and everyone was just shaking their head. Like, you can't. Like, if it's gonna break, which it did, where are you gonna work on this thing? Nowhere. You're gonna live in a dorm. So I sold that car, and I drove my dad's '79 Scout for a little bit.
Oh, a Scout. Scout
Yeah,
2?
Scout.
79 would be Scout 2, I
Yeah,
would think.
Scout 2,
Yeah.
white with not gold, wood laminate on the sides.
Nice.
And the weakest, most fragile V8 I've ever really experienced. 348, I think it was. No, 345. It just ate alternators all the time.
Yeah.
No horsepower. Very
Graham
little
cracker
torque.
block they were experimenting with. Actual hard-baked graham cracker block.
But what's funny
International.
is like everything was so like handed down from literally like industrial machinery. So that the axles, I think, are like Dana 44s or 48. They're huge.
Beefy, yeah.
They can
like
take
a T18
anything.
manual too, like a beefy.
He ripped a stump. My dad ripped a stump out of the yard once. He put it in 4-low and was just doing a 4-wheel burnout on tarmac, and the truck was fine. But the engine blew up if you tried to commute in it or something. After that, I got a Jetta, 97 Jetta GLX.
Okay.
And I had friends in the VW squad, and I was like, ooh, I have dreams for this thing. And I put a K&N intake on it, and I thought
Was it 97? Was that Mark
power.
3 or Mark 4?
3,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah,
3 VR6.
So were you a VW Vortex, bro?
Yes, I was.
Oh.
I was
Nice.
there. I was definitely there.
There we
All
go.
right.
The crowd.
That thing looks like it was written like you're looking at a calculator screen. Basically, it's just white with small font, but it had a lot of information. I mean, good forum. And I think that was my first forum experience.
VW
Sure.
Vortex was an institution. Like
Yeah.
it
May
was
still be.
Yeah, may still be.
I think it's still out there.
Yeah, it's still out there.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I slid that car into a curb in the snow, but it still worked, which is amazing. And then I bought a Subaru STI after I graduated college. I was working 2 jobs, and I wanted to learn what debt is. So
it's
I
good.
experienced it quickly.
It's good stuff.
But I think, so the way this all folded in was when I started with muscle cars, I was only interested in noise and perceived speed, not actual speed.
That's honestly not the worst way to be.
It was
Keep your
it's a
license.
good way to stay safe because I
Yeah.
thought my car was fast, and then I raced a Mark II GTI once and it won. I went, oh, I'm not fast at all.
But I'm loud.
But then the Jetta kind of taught me about braking and handling. I got more interested in cars going around corners instead of just doing burnouts and going straight, which led to the STI, which then I think all that helped inform me for this job and where I am today, kind of being able to appreciate everything from every genre of car. Like, and I mean, I never experienced a micro car, obviously, when I was a kid, but
Right.
I did.
You
drive
didn't grow
bumper-
up in 1950s Spain?
Well, I've experienced bumper cars, and these look real similar.
This is just basically a bumper car. I mean,
Yeah, they pretty much are.
Yeah.
Well, bumper cars have bumpers though, and they're somewhat safe.
Yeah, that's true. These.
Like these are actually death traps. I think some of the scariest experiences I had driving are in micro cars.
You did flip one. I saw you flip one.
I
Good
flipped
Lord.
two.
Oh, flip 2. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not easy to flip because
And
it's
when we were
basically-
driving that Messerschmitt around, and
Oh yeah, that was terrifying. In the middle of what street were we on?
we wanted to go to Tommy's. Remember
Yeah,
they talked
that's
us out
right.
of that? That was so dumb.
Yeah. No,
How do you flip one of these? You probably go 12 miles per hour.
Well, we were racing micro cars, and I was in the French
Pretty Little Yellow Guy. Moshe.
Moshe.
Yeah. You
And-
know Moshe.
Right.
anyone?
Who's got
Moshe
one?
fans out there?
Moshe
I
owners?
can't believe I forgot I should know this actually. It's an amazing car because it's one of the first ones where it didn't have pedals. So
Yeah.
This is one of the early engine cars.
Not
because-
like gas throttle, like
it
your
actually
muscles
had
transfer power.
pedals, and then this one had a real engine on it. But you got to understand, like the tires are literally like as skinny as your hand.
They're bike tires, basically.
They absolutely are. So I was just driving in a straight line, and I was just turning around. But as soon as if you're going at
Oh my
decent
God.
speed, which is 15, 20 miles, I was probably doing a good 15 miles
Yeah,
an hour.
you were
I mean, this is
tearing it up.
serious. And as soon as I
Decent
turned,
speed is a relative term.
it flipped the tires like completely sideways, like jerked it out of my hand. So the next thing I know, like I'm just on my side, and the whole thing like
flopped over.
wiped out.
Was it like a Corvair, like where there's too much compression and it changed the geometry, or the tire broke or the wheel
Did
broke?
it fold
No,
in on
it-
itself?
No,
I think it just
I'm,
slid.
I'm heavy, and it went sideways. So it just was
Maybe not enough caster or something. I don't know.
There was not enough
The
of
wheels
anything.
literally just flipped, and so did the car that fast, just from gravity. Because you have to understand, like, there's no weight. It's basically like this thing. There's no weight in it. I'm the entire weight. So
just flop.
I mean, all these cars
Just
look like they're
flopped.
out of Toy Story 4, and you would run away from the house cat, like driving them. But they're so small.
Imagine crash testing one of these.
and then
I don't
actually-
think they did.
They didn't, right?
And then I was, after that experience, I was literally thinking about it. We were shooting Driven/Car Kings, and I was driving the world's smallest car, a P50.
Oh, yeah.
And did virtually the same thing, except instead of going right, I went left. So does it count as the same accident?
Well, I think you even out, so now you're just
Yeah.
upright again.
So,
yeah.
and then it was great because I actually put my hand like through the window to catch myself. And,
Never do
but
it.
luckily, well, thank
it
God
work?
it was like so small. It actually did work. And the window went with me because it was like just plexiglass. But somehow I didn't lose
You
my
just
arm.
pushed
which
really
was
hard,
good.
and you plopped yourself right
Yeah.
back upright, and just drove
Well,
along.
I needed a little help for that.
Yeah.
But I lived.
I don't think anybody crash tested. I just had a really macabre thought about, like, if there was a country that had a death penalty and they also built these and they needed to do crash testing, they feel, let's just do it that way. Get a convicted murderer behind the wheel and just drive it into a wall.
I
Death
think that's
by
a very
PLP 50.
appropriate.
It feels like you're giving a little
sentence.
back to society.
Yes.
That's not the worst thing.
And if they survive, they get a new lease on life.
If you survive, you get to go free.
Don't do it again.
Yeah, you get to go free. Maybe they should give you a car.
You have to
might
go
be
28
onto
miles
something.
per hour in a micro car. And
Yeah,
if you
into
make
a-
it through traffic,
Right.
you
No
can leave.
seatbelt.
Yeah, no, none of these had seatbelts. Come on. Like,
No, I
what
just
do you
meant
mean?
for the crash test. You
Oh,
can't
yeah,
wear
no,
a
yeah,
seatbelt
they-
or anything.
Yeah, no, I don't think you need to. Well,
I think that's
if
an
it came with
appropriate
it.
punishment.
Yeah.
Depending on the
How
crime.
many microcars were sold in America? Was it like the BMW Isetta?
America had
and
so
a
there
few
were
others?
there were Izettas in America. America had our indigenous Crosleys. Were basically
And the King
America's
Midgets.
micro- King Midget was also another.
great.
So we had a few genuine microcars in America. The Bantam, maybe.
Phantom's it's
borderline.
kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd
And then-
be like a huge microcar.
Yeah. There were cycle cars before them, but America wasn't the market for these. It was
course.
broke Europe,
Yeah.
post-war Europe, where all these things
And
came
our
from.
microcars, in comparison, are still quite large.
King Midget's
compared to
pretty
these.
tiny.
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah, I
King
guess that's
Midget
true.
is definitely in the ballpark of
Yeah.
these guys. And there was like Eshelmans. You ever seen an Eshelman?
No.
Oh, it's ugly, deeply, profoundly, staggeringly ugly. I love these things. It's like a little. It's like what would it be like? Like big motorized pants, and they have like the meanest, weirdest looking face on them. And they made like a child's version and an adult's version of this car, and I have no fucking idea what the difference was between the toy car and the one that you were allowed to take
Did
on
you
the
say
road.
it looks like motorized pants?
Well, in the sense of the scale that it is, it's like boxy pants.
I love it.
Because you're just basically like wearing them, and it has wheels on them. Eshelman's amazing little car. Yeah,
Well, I guess nowadays we have like the Vanderhall, which is I know classified
Yeah.
as a motorcycle, but
Vanderhall?
I mean, it's
Yeah.
not. It's actually narrower than that.
Yeah.
Probably about the same length. It's
The
not a microcar.
proportions of this one, the Paul Valet. So for those of you listening at home, we're pointing to this beautiful grin of microcars, and the one we're talking about right this second is Paul Valet, and it's a beautiful turquoise thing that looks like a cartoon guppy made into a car, basically.
This, I think, is the most elegant of microcars.
It
in
is,
my opinion.
yeah. Although
beautiful
the
French
new
design.
PTV that you also got is so this okay. So the Paul Valet one, it's not like they patterned it after a car.
That's a
It's its own
teardrop
thing.
design.
It's a teardrop.
Just
yeah.
and this one's like a beautiful robin's egg. It's very elegant.
It is elegant.
And then you're right. The PTV, it looks like an elegant car that was.
It's like a
just
scaled
shrunk.
down,
Yeah.
like Austin Healey maybe. It's like very much a traditional sports car design, and then we have.
But it's got beautiful like trim on it. Like
No, it's
most
lovely.
microcars don't go to the expense and the
No, 'cause
bother of
there's-
having
Definitely.
like a chrome trim between a two-tone paint job,
Yeah.
white wall tires. I mean, it's actually got a nice.
It's
interior
genuinely
and-
pretty. The proportions are nice, and it feels like a scaled down larger car. And so that was the second best selling Spanish microcar
We
in the
have
50s.
two Spanish cars here at the
and
LA
the
Auto
best selling
Show.
one, I think, is even more fascinating, which is the Biscuiter, which is designed by Gabriele Voisin, the aircraft designer, and made amazing huge cars. It's aluminum. It looks.
It looks like a golf cart. I mean,
It looks like it's got no doors. People went to work in 1950 Spain in this. They sold 10,000 of these things.
Wow.
This
That
was
is wild.
this was somebody's everyday go-to car, and it is.
It looks like it's made from a boat. Like someone took a
It's
simple
aluminum. Yeah.
aluminum rowboat and they chopped. I don't know. The back half is fine. They just angled it and put
It
wheels
is.
on
It
it.
is.
and then
Yeah,
just
kind of
folded the front end.
boat-like. But I find this one especially
and,
fascinating.
Voisin, a very industrial designer,
Yeah.
aircraft, and I think he's one of my all-time favorite
Mm-hmm.
automobile designers as well. But this has, a very industrial feel, but at
Yeah.
the same time, it's simple, but it's got some elegance to it.
I think
And
it's
I don't
very
know.
elegant.
I feel like this would be fun just to hop in and drive to work in. Like when you're saying that,
so.
I'm picturing it. It sounds cool.
It would, but you can't because you'll tip it over. So someone should drive you to work.
Yeah.
I find all of these they're so interesting that just the way we've tried to solve certain problems with transportation and especially if someone has no money and post World
You know
War
what's
II,
super
like,
interesting?
make a
Hold on,
tiny
David.
thing.
Can I have the wireless mic? Because I want to walk over to the Zundap. You cool?
Oh
with
yeah,
that?
change.
Yeah, here.
Oh, you got it. The Zundap. This car, I
All right.
have always just.
So the
just loved.
Zundap Janus is amazing because it's like two Izettas back to back. But the cool thing about this is The AMC Pacer, the original design was exactly like this car. The AMC Pacer original design, drawn by Dick Teague, was going to have a mid-mounted Wankel rotary engine. And it is literally the exact same design, door in the front, door in the back. The big fishbowl look all came because originally it started like a Zundap Janus. So everybody should make sure they take a look at this thing because it's a brilliant use of packaging. There's a little bit of luggage area in the middle where the engine is, and then it's a bench seat in the front and back. I love that thing. I don't know why I walked over to it. But
yeah, you cut Zach off. You just were
I'm
so
sorry,
excited.
Zach.
It's so attractive. I mean, it really is. It's this weird. I mean, it brings you to it because how many cars look the exact same going front and back, and literally designed that way?
I'm sorry, Zach. Go ahead.
I don't know what I was
Why
saying.
did we interrupt Zach?
Man, I feel
It's fine.
You actually somehow have made a Nash Metropolitan owner feel guilty. Like, look at that big, excessive.
Yeah, look at your giant.
It's humongous. It has a 1.5 liter
Yeah.
engine. I'm gonna set up a solar panel at my house in a wind
should.
farm.
These are like beautiful, delicate, delicious hors d'oeuvres crafted, and you brought a double Whopper.
Yeah, you did.
What are you doing?
Filthy American.
Meanwhile, if you
That's not
see the Nash anywhere in public except next to these cars, it looks tiny and as dangerous as it probably is.
It's got less interior room than most of these too, which is weird for as bulky as it is.
That is very surprising.
Yeah.
Must be a huge engine in the front. I
They're
mean,
massive. 4 cylinders.
Was that
you
for
can
crash
imagine that
testing?
many?
Is that why it's got so much room in the front, but it's so small inside?
Did they crash test that? That's a
these?
good question.
so.
I don't know.
When did
They
they
just
start
let
crash
'em go.
testing?
You know, I have to say, we talked a few weeks ago about small cars, and especially how good of an idea it is for a car to be small, especially as we electrify. So there's a new Fiat 500e out.
Yeah.
I have to say, there are a couple of like when you talk about being green, it's one thing to be efficient powertrain wise, and it's another thing to just require less energy to move down the road. So if you have an efficient electric drivetrain, that's great. But if it's in a giant machine,
What was the engineer term for that in the car industry?
vehicle demand energy.
Vehicle demand energy.
So, keep a small frontal area, nice and slippery. You can have a smaller battery, which means, for this, it means it's cheaper too. I love the idea of small EVs that can be cheaper. You can then build 3 of them with the same resources. Yeah. If you think about the Hummer, which I like the Hummer. I have to say, I do like it. But if you take that battery pack and you think about how many cars you could build that were smaller with the same range with that battery pack, you could probably build 3 cars with the same range that were smaller.
Yeah.
So the new 500e, what's the range on that? Do you know?
Well, I think the European range is like 199 miles, I want to say. WLTP, I think it was.
So it's a little better. Are they begging people to not buy it like the last one?
No, it's different this time. But
Please don't buy my car.
the point is, like a small EV that's using less energy just to go down the highway. Like that
Well, I think
is
that
truly
I
great.
think that's why plug-in hybrids have gotten more attractive to me. I think for a while it seemed like a stepping stone to the full EV world, but as we look at lithium supplies and how many more mines we'd have to open and the weight of cars, I'm starting to think that plug-in hybrids might be the way to go because you can have 40 miles of EV range, which for most people, I mean, we know this, like the average commute is 12 miles a day. So you can plug in and drive around without using gas for your whole week. And then if you go on a trip, you can use gasoline. Or if, to your point, like cars have gotten so heavy and so big and so full of features that I think if we can make more advances with lightweight materials or carbon fiber or something, then if we can bring the weight down, we don't have to use as much energy. But like this whole thing of we can have everything we want in the car, make the car as heavy as possible, and have a range of 500 miles with a battery just doesn't seem feasible right now.
Yeah.
So on that uplifting note,
Yeah, thanks a lot.
I mean, Jason drives a Chang
go back to
Li every day.
microcars.
I do. And honestly, I don't feel like I'm missing out. Driving the Chang Li through town, I don't feel like I'm really missing out.
Are you familiar with this Chang Li?
I read all your posts when you bought it.
Yeah.
I think you came on the podcast right after
We
you got
talked about it, yeah.
So how long you've had it? Like a year now?
No, got it in 2020.
Oh my
so
God.
yeah, it's been a while. Need new batteries now. Hopefully, our partners at Optima Batteries will be providing me with new batteries for that soon. But yeah, but
How has it been? How has it been?
honestly
long-term
fantastic.
ownership? It's amazing.
It's been great, and it's held up pretty well. Had minimal problems with it. I used it. I would use this thing multiple times during the week. Like
He drove his kid to school every day.
Oh, yeah, I drove my kid to school
Remind
in it.
our audience like how much you paid for this.
Okay, yeah. So it's a $930 car new, 1.1 horsepower. plus batteries.
Where'd you buy it?
Off Alibaba, online at Alibaba. $930 for the car, $300 for the battery, so about $1,200. By the time I did all the shipping in 2020, came to about $3,300, customs, everything. And it came in a giant cardboard box.
That we put in the bed of my truck.
Put
the
in the
whole
bed
car
of his J10.
we put in the back of my truck.
Yep, and we drove it from the port in Wilmington. And then I took it to my house. We opened it. Has a backup camera. Has an MP3 player. Has a heater. Has wipers, turn signals, everything. I put a canoe on the roof once.
Did you have to assemble it
Just
when you got
bumpers, roof rack, and a couple other little things
to
assemble it. And it's a fantastic vehicle for like 80% of my needs where I drive. It'll handle it.
Think about that.
Amazing.
For 80% of his needs, he needs a 20-mile range.
27. I tested the 27-mile range.
Top speed of like 19 miles an hour.
On the flat, I could do. I took it to a track. And on the flat, I could do
track. You could
22.
Top speed test it in a driveway.
Yeah, you could. Oh, up a hill, my kid can run up a hill faster than it. Yeah.
All right. It seems a little problematic, but sorry. Top speed of track was 22.
Around there, in mid 20s, somewhere around there. But it doesn't. Okay, so I live in a college town. Most of the speed limits in there are in the 20s because they're like 30. Like legally, I can drive it on any road 35 miles an hour less. Most of the streets where I live, it's like low enough speed. I can get access. I can go to like restaurants or a grocery store or my kid's school or his friend's house, whatever.
But you can't get back from the grocery store because the groceries will spoil by the time you get home.
No, it's look. I can keep 15 to 20 miles an hour.
But what about when you go up a hill?
Not uphill. His kid can actually outrun him.
Up it.
There's a great clip of his kid racing him and defeating him and then flipping him the bird.
Yeah.
You're really not making a great case for the Changli. You said 80% of the
so
time.
strong.
Yeah. But these hills don't come up that often. And downhill, you're hauling ass.
That's true. That is true.
And so the Changli
propulsion
people.
Is gravity.
The gravity is a powerful being. And so the Changli people saw the video, especially the kid beating up a hill, and then they came out with another version that had a gearing system to specifically go up hills because I think they were tired of 9-year-olds beating it up hills. Yeah. And in China, these are called old man happy cars, and they're not 100% legal in most of the big cities. Because
old man happy car?
Old man happy car because the old men go to market in them
because it goes the same speed they're used to walking, but now they don't have to walk.
You don't have to walk, and you can be out of the weather.
You have an escalator that you can just direct wherever you want.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's a directable escalator wherever I want to go.
Kind of like a god now.
That's the most fucked up way to describe it.
Where'd you register it? How?
Be cool, Zach.
Yeah.
What are you, a cop? We're fine. Register. I mean, technically,
register
I could.
his shopping cart. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's wild, man.
I park it nose to curb in between other cars on parallel parked.
I applaud that.
Nobody's complained about it yet.
Pulling the Changli over would be.
Why is that music?
Pulling the Changli over would be like. That would be like.
Who would be exactly? What cop is pulling the Changli over? No. Like, what are you accomplishing? What's the crime?
A car that cute? You don't pull that.
Child endangerment?
Okay, other than child endangerment.
Other than that.
What's the crime?
They probably just think there's a bicycle inside and you're just one of those, what are they called?
Honestly, look, I see, for the child endangerment argument, my town is also full of people with bicycles and they have like a little kid seat in the back. That's way more dangerous.
I would agree.
When I run into them in the Changli, they come off far worse than I do.
That's true.
Yeah.
They're probably going faster than you typically.
Yeah, that's why I'm running them off because I'm angry.
Do they tow you up hills? Can you ever hitch a ride on a bicycle? You're like, hey man, will you help me out here? I can't believe it.
I hit the toe. Yeah. If his legs look beefy, or
I think it's really cool. Genuinely, I mean, I'm making fun because I didn't realize it was that slow, but it's really cool that you've owned it this long and like are using it and trying out this experiment.
I use it unironically.
I know.
Like it's just easier to go into town to like pick up takeout in that. It's easier than the full-size car because I don't worry about parking. Like it's a college town, so like the downtown gets crowded.
College town does help a lot. With
Helps
your
a
situation.
lot. Yeah, this wouldn't work everywhere.
Yeah.
But dense cities, college towns, those weird places where they don't allow real cars.
Well, it's like the IMEV, whatever. You guys were talking about that on one of your last shows, I think. And
the
those were a
IMEV.
cool little city runabout experiment.
There's a place for that kind of car.
Yeah.
I think.
I knew someone that absolutely loved their IMEV and drove it
Kevin,
everywhere for
if he's
years.
around somewhere, he owns one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And then there's the Citroen Ami in Europe is kind of basically that, the new Ami. So it's a thing.
And I like when the first Fiat 500e came out.
Yeah.
That was my favorite of the 500s. I didn't really like the Abarth that much.
You didn't like the Abarth?
Yeah.
I just felt like it's
cold.
Compared to, I felt like the Mini Cooper S felt way more planted, lower center of gravity. I just felt safer in it, and I felt more comfortable in it. And the Abarth was handled great, but a lot of that was, I think the tires were like 200 tread wear. It had cheater tires on it, and I just wasn't that into it. But the 500e just felt heavy, grounded, and I liked that it had a 60-mile range or something like that. It was okay. It was
Something
something
like
more
that.
than that.
They were cool.
I was into it.
500D, the old ones.
So you clearly evaluating cars the way that you talked about that. That's your thing. How did you get into evaluating cars?
When I moved here in 2009, I just wanted to work in TV and cars, but I had no plan. That was like, it was like a Post-it that was just like TV cars. I'm like, here, this is what I'm going to do with my life. And my girlfriend's dad at the time
down your goals
didn't
there.
believe that. Yeah, I wrote my goals down. But when I got here, I found a listing on Craigslist that said, like, writer needed for a new car site, for real. And it was a new site that just did, like, exotic car daily news stuff. And I met a guy at a coffee shop, and he's like, well, here's this website. And so I just did that. I started writing, press release stuff. And then that led to writing for The Smoking Tire, which then led to, working on TV shows and driving press cars, and then, like, reading, writing, thinking, figuring out how to analyze cars and just be critical, but also, I think, still have fun with them. Yeah.
So that
was the concise version.
This was post Garage 419, right?
Yeah, it was. Matt moved here like a month before I did or something, and then literally was like, hey, we started this new thing called The Smoking Tire. We need writers for the website. And I was like, oh, I've been doing that for a month, and saying a bunch, acting like I know how a Lamborghini should drive.
You demand the senior writer position.
I did.
Yeah.
Smart. Walked in, not EIC, but, right below that.
Yeah.
That's where I got.
30 days.
After, yeah.
I'm assuming it wasn't February.
Our readership was very small, so, it's okay. You could stumble and it would be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, came without a plan. Yeah, I gotta respect that. You came here without a plan. Just made it happen.
And then, you just, I think if you have a target like that, you just kind of say yes to things that might lead closer to that target, and you say no to things that won't go anywhere. So, we got the car show on the Speed Channel in 2011, and the producer offered to pay me very, very, very little money to leave my job as a waiter to be the auto consultant in the office. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like it'll be great. And
Directionally
it was
directionally
the right way, financially the wrong way, but directionally absolutely the right way. And,
This was a step down from the waiter salary?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Damn.
It was.
Where were you a waiter?
To quote the director of that show at the time, the producer paid people like it was 2004. So I was a waiter at just like a okay restaurant in Beverly Hills adjacent, but but it was super fun. Like now I'm in a room and we're figuring out bits to write for a car TV show, and going to the Fox lot and going to Willow Springs and stuff like that. I mean, that was huge. It was really cool.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, are there any things that you're doing now that you want to plug before we wrap up today?
Smoking Tire Podcast, Smoking Tire YouTube channel. We do car reviews and stuff there. And then, I don't know, we talk about our project yet?
Yeah, dude.
Okay, well, I mean, that's...
Yeah, go ahead.
You'd be
Yeah,
doing a video.
we're gonna drive some cars together too.
Bo is very, very, very generously going to let me drive some of his cars, and we're going to do some stuff together for Autopian, and I'm really pumped about it because...
To be excited? Woo!
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Can you give us a hint? Which cars you're going to drive?
I mean, we walked through the collection, and I thought it was going to be like, all right, you can drive these, be very careful, and, these are all off limits. And Bo was like, it would be cool if we took these three most amazing, I don't want to spoil it, but like the most amazing machines in here, one of which is a concept, and we compared those three. Damn. And I was like, that would be cool, but,
It can't happen.
That's not going to happen.
That's the big show. That's the big episode.
I think I know where the
We're
cars
all
are
gonna
going.
be
I
involved
think I
in
know
this
what you're
one.
talking about too. Holy
Yeah,
crap.
it's going to be great.
Wild
is gonna
stuff.
be
But what I
wild.
love about like Bo's collection and attitude, and I think honestly the Galpin booth like kind of shows this, is you have a pretty eclectic, diverse mix of interests in cars, and so we're gonna kind of show the audience and the world like that collection you have, and also why all of these can be appreciated under one roof. So that's what I'm excited about. There's a bunch of there's old stuff, new stuff, concept stuff, small stuff, big stuff, like all of it. Yeah, it's cool.
So, just like the rest of us, we're going to drive a lot of weird cars.
Yeah.
All we've ever wanted
And
to
also
do.
some really noisy, fast stuff.
Yeah.
I'm excited. But I asked to drive the backup pickup truck, and which for people who don't know, it's the cab is facing backwards, and it's meant to do wheelies, and the engine's in the bed. And your face, like you looked at me, and you're like, that one's pretty dangerous. I forget what you said, but it was like it was a no.
You would die.
Yes,
and
that too.
Do that. And
I think it was right after you'd said, "I'm totally comfortable with you driving everything in here because you're a good driver." And I asked about that, and you said, "How good a driver are you?"
I don't even know if skill comes into play.
No. Just physics.
And you don't actually steer with it. You steer with the brakes, and you drive by sticking your head out the window because the bed of the pickups like that.
Yeah, maybe not that one.
So not that one, dude.
Yeah.
Man, I'm pumped for that.
I'm really excited.
No, that's a good note to end on.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, thanks a bunch for joining us here on the Autopian Podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Zach.
For everyone listening, please subscribe.
Wait, should we take? We have a crowd here. Should we take questions from the crowd?
Are there questions?
Yeah, turn off the music. Let's take questions from the crowd real quick.
You got the wireless mic.
Actually, I don't know if there's questions, but we have a wireless mic and we have a David. David could just go up to people and demand they ask him things.
Oh, you can do that, Jason.
David, you have young legs. Go out and talk to the people.
Okay, so this is your chance. Is there anything you'd like to ask, automotive related, anything related?
You do have the one mic. You're going to have to get up there.
Go ahead,
if someone
David.
does, then raise your hand.
Raise your hand, and we'll bring it over to you. Or if you have anything you want to plug, any kind of crazy ideas, conspiracy theories you want to push, this is your chance. Audience,
any hot takes?
Fives of people are listening.
If you have any hot takes you want to
Any hot takes? Any? All right, screw it. Put the music back on.
Put the music back on. It's over.
Yeah,
it's
over.
there.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for joining us for the Autopian Podcast.
Like and subscribe.